Despite there still being a few months of the season left, a lot of transfer rumours have started, and one of the biggest ones for Arsenal is that their number one target in the summer is rumoured to be Alexander Isak from Newcastle. Now, while it may seem like a weird choice, I actually think this would be an excellent sign and dependent on the circumstances with it. But why do I think this? Well, let's get into it. Now, for me, Alexander Isak's links to Arsenal aren't really a surprise. I sort of expected this to happen because I actually thought Arsenal weren't particularly happy with the striker market right now. And I honestly don't think the striker market is really that good, but it is much better than it was like a year or two ago. Obviously, you've got the clear standards like Victor Osimhen, who pretty much everyone in the world's going to want, and he's probably going to end up costing over 140 mil, or at least over 100 mil with that release clause and whatever happens there. You've also got Victor Gyökeres, who obviously has been linked with Arsenal recently. Very good player, but he did join Sporting from Coventry last year, and paying 80 to 90 mil for someone that went for 17 mil last year, I just don't think is really worth it. And we're yet to see if he really can do it in a top league. No offense to obviously Portugal at all. And you could make arguments that these players could improve Arsenal, and I think with our brilliant attacking line they probably would get better, and it still would be a good player for us to sign. But Arsenal, I think, are looking for someone physically elite and sort of in that sort of bracket that can help them progress rather than necessarily on a goal scoring factor. And that's why I think Alexander Isak could be perfect. Straight off the bat, his goal record since he joined the Premier League has been really good. He has 22 goals in just 42 Premier League games and has 12 Premier League goals in 20 games this season. For someone that wasn't scoring at a crazy rate for Real Sociedad, this is actually very good numbers, and it proves that I think his physical levels are too much in this league and he really does get along in England. And him just naturally being 6'4" and being very lanky does help. He's going to be decent in the air but also have a bit of a physical stature on him. He isn't necessarily the strongest and got the most muscles, but he is a very tall guy, so he can actually physically dominate people, and he's quite a very aggressive player. He does press very hard, and I do think that's very encouraging, and he's got a really good stride on because he runs a lot around. And probably the most important thing about Isak is in his career he has actually played as a left winger quite a lot. He played out a left wing a lot at Sociedad and Dortmund back in his younger days, and this means that he has naturally developed a very good dribbling skill, and we've seen it this season and last season when he joined Newcastle. I mean, just for example, that run he did against Everton where he dribbled past the whole team is just brilliant. Not many players can do that at his height and stature, and the fact that he can easily go past players and drift past them with his brilliant pace as well despite being so tall and lanky is very encouraging, and I think that shows how unique he is and how as a physical output he can be for the team. And this is a bit what more I think Arsenal want. They want someone who's a little bit more versatile, who can play in a numerous array of positions. Like Osimhen can't really play many different positions other than striker, and although Victor Gyökeres you could argue could play in that midfield role, I think we're more looking for someone that can play out on the wings or is a bit more natural there. I think Gyökeres could do a good job out there, but I think Alexander Isak's experience in the Premier League be a lot better for the team and actually help us a lot more. Because he is so tall and he's so big, that definitely fits into what Arsenal have been trying to do, get more physical players and make Arsenal a bit more of a stronger team. That's why Nketiah and Havertz were signed, and that's why the team are much more better now from crosses and corners and actually being much more dominant in a lot of different positions, not only just the air. And something I do like about Isak, because he plays in this Newcastle team that do like helping each other when they go forward, and it's not necessarily just an individual part of play, he is actually quite a big passer within that team. Every single game he's making around 2 to 3 progressive passes and making around 2.5 carries, and yet he's trying to get 2 take-ons. This means he is squaring up with people and trying to get past them and also pushing the ball through to the attack. He doesn't mind picking the ball up and making a run with it, which I think can help Arsenal a lot in transition, be a lot quicker having these sort of players. A complaint I have about Gabriel Jesus especially is he's quite bad in these modes. He's good when you've got the ball in sustained possession and can dribble past players. Sometimes when you're on the break and you get him in space, just seems to make the wrong decision, despite him obviously naturally should be quite good at that sort of role. I don't think Isak's a better dribbler than Jesus, but I do think he's definitely a better finisher. People say he's not a better finisher because he still misses a lot of chances, and this does happen, but I've seen a lot better high quality goals from him more consistently. And it's not even just that, he seems to understand when to actually press and not, and sort of get in the right position. I would bet on Isak to score from 3 or 4 chances than I would probably Jesus, and especially in the air, Gabriel Jesus is borderline useless 90% of the time. And something that does need to be mentioned here is that Isak is probably one of the closest players to Thierry Henry in the Premier League now today. Now obviously this doesn't really mean anything, and obviously it's a very overdrawn comparison that a lot of players do, but how he plays, how he does this natural finish where he wants to just put it in the far post all the time running through, he's just naturally like a lankier version of Thierry Henry, and he is still a very quick player. I like that about him. He has that pace to really be deadly on the break while also being very good in the air in different situations, and you can't argue with his goal record in the Premier League. It's good enough to be really considered by a top team. I know we can say what we want about Newcastle Newcastle, but they haven't had a very good season this year, and he definitely would want to probably leave to go to Arsenal. And we were obviously linked with Isak for many years before, so it makes me think the board and directors have definitely looked at Isak for years now and gone, he's a player they wanted to get. And he had a poor year, and Newcastle spent a lot of money on him, but he's actually proven himself at Newcastle under a better system and a better manager, and done a better job there as well, been really good in a very hard league. Now for me, I think there's two big negatives or cons about Isak that we've definitely got to be wary of, and I think number one, everyone's obviously going to talk about it, is his injury record. Now throughout his whole career, his injury record isn't actually too bad. He was picking up about 1 or 2 or 3 injuries a year, but he was only missing around 5 to 6 games mostly, and his whole time at Real Sociedad, he only ever missed 5 games through injury. It was actually really good. This has been very different at Newcastle. Since he's been at Newcastle, he has missed 28 games in all competitions, including internationals. Considering he's been there coming up to 2 years now, that is too many games, I would say. But it doesn't look like it's a consistent thing throughout his career, so maybe it's just bad luck right now, but he keeps having a groin injury problem. He says his last 2 injuries have been that groin injury, so obviously we hope it's not a long-term thing, and then there's obviously issues. A lot of his other injuries seem to be a bit different, like a thigh problem or hamstring injury. It's a bit different every single time, so I wouldn't say it necessarily shows he has a bad body or anything like that. It could definitely just be down to luck. But the other major con, which I think also plays a bit of part of the injury, is how much money are you willing to actually pay on Isak, because if you're looking around 80 to 100 mil, then that could be too much, and the issue is that Newcastle obviously spent 70 mil on him 2 years ago. He's done a really good job, so they're going to want probably that money back and a bit of a profit. And I think if they charged you around 80 to 90 mil, then you could really consider that, but I do obviously think with his injury record, you've got to think about it. Is it good long term, and are we just going to be in the same problems that we are before? But there has been talk that Newcastle are one of the teams that has to actually sell one of their major stars for FFP, because everyone's getting screwed over by it at the moment. We're seeing point deductions already in the league, and if that played, I think Isak would probably be the best player they could get rid of, because it doesn't necessarily stop their core, and he's been injured a lot for them anyway. So if you can maybe get a deal where it's a considerably a little bit cheaper, maybe 50 to 60 mil, I think it's really worth getting, because I think even despite his injury record, he would be insane for Arsenal and really excel us. I also look at people like Victor Osimhen, who do also have a really bad injury record, which people seem to not think about because he has been injured like loads in the last couple of years, and he was pretty bad before then. And I've watched him play quite a lot, and I don't know if he would fit our system sometimes, but I think he is a brilliant player. I don't know if we're the right club for him specifically. And Victor Gyökeres, I think, is a brilliant player and would be a great signing for Arsenal, but I'm still a bit wary of spending 100 mil on someone that was that in the Championship 2 years ago, rather than Isak, who people don't want to spend 100 mil on. I think make more sense than that, but obviously it depends what the club want. Now let me know in the comments what you think, and let me know who you think Arsenal should buy, or what you think about Alexander Isak's links. Would you be happy with him at the club, or do you think his injury record is too concerning? And that leads me to say thank you guys for watching this video. I appreciate your view as always. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and go and watch my video yesterday where I talk about Arsenal's injury problems. If not, thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.